Tampa Bay. We buck 'em up when we raise the flag. Fire the cannons and seize the day. The crew's ready, all hands on deck, no parley. Down in Tampa Bay. We buck 'em up. We buck 'em up. We buck 'em up. Down in Tampa Bay. We buck 'em up. We buck 'em up. We buck 'em up. Down in Tampa Bay.
What is up, Bucs Nation? I'm your boy, Sammer, hanging out with the one, the only, my beloved brother, Poppy Latte, and Stank Bastard. And we're joined tonight by a very special guest, honestly. I mean, we've been waiting for this guy for a while, right? We're talking about a Catholic Memorial High School 2020 Hall of Fame class member, okay? In good old Waukesha, Wisconsin. All right, I don't think they have 70,000 people in this town, right? And this guy's a Hall of Fame linebacker from that town, okay? And listen, the guy who introduced him into said Hall of Fame said that this man was a model of good behavior, respect, emotional and academic intelligence, and listen to this one, the best one, and a solid team player. I mean, and another person said his work ethic, second to none. And, you know, I think we can attest to that, obviously, with what you've done with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're joined by a man who played at the University of Michigan with one, back then, average Joe known as Tom Brady. Okay?
Yeah,
this is the linebacker, Michigan legend, assistant general manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, John Spytek. What's up, man?
Is it assistant general manager or assistant to the general manager?
Whatever you guys want to call me tonight, I'm cool with. Appreciate the intro, though. That was, my cup is full. So I'll come on anytime you guys want if we can do that.
I listen, I heard there's this 250-pound, 7'1" linebacker. I said, what? How is this possible? No, 7'1", obviously. But.
Tall tail. That's a Pewaukee, Wisconsin tall tail right there.
What are you lettered 7 times between football and basketball in high school? I mean,
something like that. Six.
I
3 and 3.
It was 7, man.
Let's go with 7. Lucky number 7.
Are you a better basketball player or a football player?
I was a better football player by a pretty big margin.
Yeah, see, Stang, don't ask questions, man. He went to the University of Michigan, all right? He once tried to tackle Tom Brady when Tom Brady was wearing the Do Not Tackle Me jersey, all right? Just to make sure he sent a message as a freshman, I'm not taking any shit. So, listen, John knows what he's talking about. John, listen, you're a guy who's coined what I say is sexy fat guys, okay? You're a big fan of sexy fat guys. That's your type. You love those guys in the draft. This past season, offseason, this past draft, you guys land one Graham Barton. Obviously, you guys were over the moon about that, but I got to ask, how excited were you guys? I know Jason was ridiculously over, like there's nothing anyone could have traded to get that spot when he was on the board there. How excited were you to get Graham Barton, and how maybe shocked were you that he was even there?
Well, we were really excited, and shocked. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think we probably put it at 50-50, but anybody, we're all guessing. You get by the first 5 picks. I mean, it's kind of a roll of the dice thing, and so you just do your work, and you think, well, there's a chance he could be there, and we'll put positive vibes out there that he makes it. And yeah, like you said, I mean, I don't know what trade offer could have come across our desk or Jason's desk to make him move off that pick. I mean, when need matches up with by far the best player on your board, I mean, you'd be a fool, I think, to walk away from that player. Now, Graham's still got to go out there and do it and, be the player I think we all know he can be. He's off to a great start so far, but yeah, just a great person, which we've talked a lot about in terms of what we're looking for lately, but he's already doing really cool stuff on the field, and he's a big, sexy man up front that we love for sure.
You spoke about no doubt. Like you know what? Us fans, we have draft crushes. Poppy Latte, we talk about all the time. He falls in love with somebody every single draft. How do you not do that? Like, how do you stop yourself from falling in love with a player only to be heartbroken? How does that happen? Because I know you watch these guys obsessively. What's it like as the picks are drawing near and that guy you really want is there? What's that experience like?
Well, we do get heartbroken. You do have favorites. We have a fun little exercise sometimes in the office where everybody gets to put their last name on one player, and it can't be one of the top guys. It's got to be kind of a, late first to third round guy. And when you don't get them, and I've been on those end of it too, it sucks the air out of the room for, it better be about a second, because you got to be ready to pick. So, when you get a guy like that and you don't have your heart broken, when that pick comes in, and it happened last year with Kalijah too, where, sometimes we get tipped off from our contacts at other teams, and I can remember last year when, we heard with the Lions, for instance, like it's a defensive player, it's your kind of player. And we went, oh, hell no, not Kalijah. And then somebody hit Jack Campbell. We were like, hell yeah. Same thing this year when that pick got turned in right in front of Graham. We were just pumped, and Jason called him right away. And just when it all lines up and it all matches up, you just feel really good about it.
Yeah, no, I would suck as a front office person, assistant GM or, anything of that, or scout, assistant scout, all of that. Cause I fall in love. So Spytek, I fall head over heels in love. And then I'm like really disappointed and sour when it doesn't happen.
Really salty. Yeah.
I want to talk, you said the person, I want to talk about that. We talked about with Jason and stuff and the standards that's set within the building as far as, you miss more between the ears than you do, athletically. I want to talk about the person. I was watching a video of Barton the other day, and you talk about how he's acclimating and stuff, and you can tell he's already a leader. Like, what is it with the personalities of these guys? Like, you just want to root for these lovable bears, man. Like, it's almost like Gadecki, Barton, Tristan, all same, just big kids, man.
Cody
Mock too, man.
Yeah. So my boy Ben Bredesen from Michigan, who played at the high school right down the road from me. So a lot of pride there too.
I like the late pick that we got, that guard. He's kind of like last year kind of mentality as well.
Yeah, Eli's off to a good start too. To me, like the identity of your football team starts up on both lines. It just is what it is. This used to be the case many years ago where it was 2 yards in a cloud of dust, and that was the mentality of everybody. Fantasy football's changed that a little bit. People are in love with the big plays and, the explosive receivers and the backs that can do cool stuff. But if you can't win the line of scrimmage at any level of football, I don't think you've got any chance. And it takes a special man to be up there and be 330 pounds in the Tampa heat, with big dudes hitting you on every play, and you get really no breaks up there. And for those guys, like when you talk to them and you watch their tape, we talked about it with Cody last year, like there's a joy that you get from watching those guys play football. And it's because they play the game with a great amount of joy too. And they are just fun people to be around. They are every bit of the offensive line mentality that maybe is the stereotype, but in a good way. It's a good stereotype. And they're really the core of our team. We can't get it done without them. I mean, if you think about the year we won the Super Bowl, we couldn't stop hitting quarterbacks. And again, it's one up front. And we were built really well up front that year that we won the Super Bowl. And people don't talk about that enough, I don't think. And, we set out this year to pick good players at positions that we wanted, that we needed. But number one, pick good people and hopefully at positions that we needed. And again, I think it lined up with Graham.
John, a lot of teams go through a process where they focus on the now and they kind of ignore the future and they don't worry too much about tomorrow. They're in that win now mode. And then eventually they've been kicking down the road, the Saints, they have to pay the piper and they've got to figure it out. And it usually ends up being the demise of the team, and they kind of see a few bad years and maybe don't even return most of the time. You guys have done something extremely special in that you got the GOAT of GOATs to just come to Tampa, okay? Yeah. And then you go through that window of let's win now. Let's make sure we keep our guys, again, keeping all 22 starters from a Super Bowl winning team, never done before, right? And then now a time comes where Tom's gone. You're supposed to suck. You're supposed to pay that credit card bill. You're not supposed to compete, and yet you guys compete, right? You guys compete. You win the division. You apparently look like you found your quarterback. How important has it been for you guys to be able to identify these draft picks and these undrafted guys that have come in as free agents and made an impact seemingly for the first 4 rounds in the last 3 years it happens? And again, this year's draft class looks like another impactful one where you're going to have, contribution across the board. How important has it been for you guys to be able to identify those players and those types of, personalities and bring them in and kind of bridge from one generation to the next, or from one era to the next, if you want to say that, I guess, and just kind of speak to how you guys have been able to figure out a formula? It seems like you guys have a template at this point.
It's been critical. And I think with the way that the NFL is built now, and you have so many, when you do it well, like we've done, and you have these guys that are at the top of the top of the market for their position groups, I mean, it puts even more pressure on your ability to find not only good rookies, but rookies and people that can really contribute as rookies and second year players, and through their rookie contract. And, I think, again, if you look at the core of our Super Bowl team, is we hit home runs in the second, third, and fourth round of the draft. You're talking about, Chris Godwin, Alex Kappa, Jordan Whitehead, Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis, Sean Murphy-Bunting, on and on and on. And Winfield, second round. Yep. And that's really where I think if you got a great scouting department, and we do, that's where you make your hay, because there still are good players left that should be able to start and play big time roles for you. And you got to be able to find them, and they got to be cut from the right cloth that can fit in a culture which is about winning, and it's not about selfishness or second contracts and all that. And, we really leaned into it last year in 2023 when we were taking that $80 million hit on the chin. And we talked about it at length with our scouts all the way back to January. Like, listen, this is going to be a really lean year from a money standpoint. We aren't going to be able to sign free agents to supplement this roster. Outside of, we basically used up all the money to sign Baker, which was like 4 and some change up front. And, if you go back to that draft class between the picks we had and the guys we signed was like 25, like that's a haul. And we got good players across the board. And it really is what propelled us last year. We needed those guys, 1, to be quality players, but 2, be quality players as rookies. And they were both all the way through the draft. And like you guys mentioned, several undrafted free agents too. And it's what we get paid to do. It is the most important part of the team building process, in my opinion, is the draft. And you get one chance a year to do it. And if you miss it, you pay the piper for years. And then you try to supplement it with free agents because you missed, and that costs a lot of money. And you don't really know what you're getting if you go buy from outside all the time. Mm-hmm. And it just can kind of run away from you downhill pretty quick. And we've done the opposite here the last, 6 or 7 years. And it's why I think we sit where we sit right now.
It's been super refreshing as a Bucs fan to see that. I mean, you talk about it, you see it from afar in other organizations, but to see us like draft our own homegrown talent and develop it and then retain that talent has been really, really fucking awesome to watch. It's been like, as a Bucs fan, that's like uncharted territory. Like, wait, what? We're drafting well and we're retaining guys?
Yeah. Even the guys that we didn't retain, like you were talking about, you named some names, like the 2019 draft with Devin White, Sean Murphy-Bunting, Jamel Dean, Mike Edwards, Anthony Nelson, Scotty Miller. All those guys contributed to the rise and ultimately helped us get a ring, except for Matt Gay, which, that was a mistake because he took a ring away from us, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so, used to be a friend of the show. Used to be the 4th, the 5th.
What are you talking about? He's still a friend of the show.
He did to me.
He deleted you. He didn't. I mean,
he deleted me.
Sam and I still speak to him all the time.
Yeah, he's been at 2 cookouts at my house. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about, bro?
He's a Colt now. It doesn't even matter. I don't care what that's our brother. That's a.
I don't forget. I'm very, very, very petty. I don't forget. Anyway, point being, even those guys we haven't been able to retain for whatever reason, still made a lasting impression and ultimately helped us win a championship. So I'm sorry, Latte, I hijacked your.
Oh, you're good, but you mentioned Scotty Miller. I mean, Scotty Miller's NFC catch that championship right before, like what? Like, talk about biggest moments. I mean, obviously Rondé Barber's, but that one's up there. That one's up there. But what I was gonna say, John, was I think that's a 3 behind you. Is that a 1 as well? Is that a Mike Evans? Yeah, Mike. What Mike means to us, man. You've heard and the relationship he has with the son and stuff, and what he's done for my son, which is incredible. Not needing to, he's an incredible human. But speaking of retaining talent, what was it like in the building? Was everybody a little nervous? Like, man, are we gonna lose Mike here? Like, what's going on? Was there a moment there where everybody kind of had to hold their breath? Like, crap, I hope we keep Mike, and what Mike means to the organization and stuff.
I think you're always nervous when players get within a week or 2 of free agency, and especially when they've been one place a long time, and people get interested about what else is out there, and I think a lot of people would be that way, curious what's out there. I mean, Tom talked about it at the Super Bowl, the ring ceremony. I mean, when he came here, it was the first time in his pro career he actually got the pick. He got the pick where he wanted to go, and these guys that are the superstars that Mike is, he's earned. every right to get there if he wants to. And so certainly it was uncomfortable for a while. I think Jason and Mike have such a great relationship, and they can always be honest with each other, that you take some comfort in that, like, listen, the communication was never poor or broken off. And so there was always a optimism, I think, that wouldn't necessarily be there with necessarily other players. But yeah, I mean, it was, Jason and I had some chats and some beers, and, just we're going to be okay. No matter what, we're going to be okay. We survived, a lot of different things here too. And, all you can do is present your best offer to Mike at this point, and hopefully he takes it. And obviously he did. And we're very grateful that he did. And just a unique person, unique human he is too. I mean, a lot of people just go take and run and for the most money. And, maybe he could have got a couple million more here or there, who knows, but what it means to him and to be in Tampa, hopefully his entire career, I think we can all see with what Rondé and what he means to the city too. Like that's a special thing and a special bond to have with the city. And I don't think that's lost on Mike either too. So, but hell yeah, we were jacked when
it's crazy. It's a people business at the end of the day. And that's your job, is to find the best people, players, humans. And when it all lines up, not only is he a Hall of Fame football player, but unselfish, locker room guy. Maybe he's not the most vocal, but just who can get out of line when you got a guy like that does it all the right way. Never about me. That's awesome, man.
When your best players act like that, behave like that, and are selfless like that, I don't know where the selfish people have a place to stand at that point. I mean, people don't have the shit that Mike does. They start spouting off about, I want this. And it's like, well, look at this guy. You got the best example of why not to do that right now. And, hell of a first pick.
The organization, John. I personally know,
Jason.
No, I know that Tom came here because of you. Like, Jason takes all the credit, right? He's the one out there saying, I did this. Look at me. I'm Jason Light. But we all know the real reason Tom came here is because of you.
Look at the sweater.
I know. Nobody reported it, right? It came out later or whatever in some interview, but it's not like everybody was talking about John Spytek, the reason the Bucs won the Super Bowl, and that should have been what everybody was talking about. Instead, you're lost in the mix.
John, tell us, bro.
Unselfish.
You picked up the phone. You're Tom. Hey, let's run it back. Let's be teammates again, bro.
Let's run it back.
Remember the guy that shared meals with you at Michigan? Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. I wish it was true. Unfortunately, it's not. I don't think he would have had any idea.
That's being humble. That's just humility right there.
If he went into me in the street, he wouldn't have had any idea who I was back then. He humored me enough to be like, "What's up, Spy?" when he first showed up, and I'd be like, "Yeah, you did your research. I know." But it had been 22 years or whatever since I had last talked to him at that point. So
no, he remembered you. You screamed across the middle when he was trying to pass to one of those little wide receiver deals, and he remembers that from that practice. And he's like, "I remember that guy."
He would remember me more. He'd remember me more if Steve Hutchinson and Jeff Backus were implanting me into the ground. That would be a more memorable position for me to be in at that point.
Well, listen, you speaking of quarterbacks and guys that got close to free agency. Baker Mayfield, big deal. You guys spend that $4 and some change on him a year ago, bring him in here. You don't really know what you're going to get, even though you have some research. You got the history between Todd Bowles and, obviously BA had to say in some of it because, he likes him and all that. Yeah. But fast forward to this year, you guys are able to keep him. How important has it been for you guys to be able to find that person so soon after the GOAT leaves the building? And not just that, a guy who comes in and emerges from that shadow and makes the team his own, becomes this teammate that guys want to fight for. And what is, the honest projection or the honest outlook for a guy like that for you guys? Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm really excited about this. I see a very good future here with the Bucs and the quarterback position, which is something that we haven't seen. And obviously everybody was worried once Tom leaves, we're going right back to what we were before and we're not going to figure this out. Right. So how important was it for you guys to be able to address that, nail a risk or a chance, and then be able to capitalize on it once again, not let him get the free agency. And now you have this, the next whatever number of years ahead of you with that.
Well, yeah, I got to give Baker a lot of credit too. I mean, he very well publicly have said he sought us out, and the deal he took to come to Tampa was kind of the best deal that we could do. It's certainly, I would have a hard time believing it was the best deal that he could have gotten. Backup quarterbacks make And some of the guys that we were talking about, if we couldn't get Baker, ended up making twice or 2.5 times as much as he did, and he certainly was deserving of that too. But you get a guy like Baker and his confidence. You guys have been around him. I mean, it is tangible almost. It drips off of him, and you got to have that position. I mean, that position they get beat up like mentally and physically like nobody can really truly understand. And we went through the list of quarterbacks that was available after we knew that Tom was definitely done after the 2022 season. He just stood out. He was a guy that Todd obviously was familiar with because of the draft that year and what they were doing. But he was a guy that we had really spent a lot of time on coming out to, not necessarily visiting with him, but evaluating him, and loved the skill set. And again, I don't think he ever got nearly enough credit for what he accomplished in Cleveland. Like, people forget that he won and I was a COVID year, so yeah, whatever. People got all their
in Pittsburgh, their biggest rival. Kiss my ass.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. People make a lot of excuses, but this is a dude that won a quarterback the Browns to their first playoff win since Bill Belichick was a head coach there, which they then became the Ravens. Then they go to Kansas City, and people forget, like, if they don't fumble that ball through the end zone at the end of the first half, like that's a different ball game than what it was. And he had him on the precipice of beating the Chiefs that year. Then maybe we see them in the Super Bowl that year instead of the Chiefs. But I think I heard a podcast one time, and people said, like, do you think it's good fortune or good luck or whatever? And the guy was talking about how he felt like when you're becoming fortunate, if you have the awareness to understand that there's this opportunity here that's out before you, if you can capitalize on that those are what the great organizations, companies do. And I feel like that's how we approach the Baker thing too. I mean, here's a guy that has been proven to be a winning starting quarterback in the NFL, has been to playoff games, who, if you know him well enough, knows I'll take the challenge of being Tom's successor in stride and watch what I do with it, as opposed to, it's a huge shadow to stand in and emerge from. And I don't think any of us had a doubt. And he had just been through enough shit in his life at that point. And there was a belief that with the way he went about picking Tampa, that here's a guy with humility and awareness, and that's what we're looking for. And shit, can he throw a football on top of it too? So, and all the other stuff with the teammates, like they love him. He is a great teammate and a great leader. He walks the walk, he talks the talk, and those guys will do anything for him. That's what you want your quarterback to be.
You said it drips off of him, oozes off of him. He goes to one of my barbershops, and you're right. Like, I want to sweep hair better. I want to cut hair. He walks in the door, and I'm like, God damn, I gotta. Ooh. So yeah, you're right. It does drip off of him. And we told Jason when he came on that I've never seen a quarterback or a player just come in and literally win an entire city over one play. When he said, "Get your weight up, little ass boy," in Minnesota, went for that first down. That entire sideline just freaking went crazy, as did we, because we were watching it together.
We had goosebumps. I said, we found our fucking guy.
Crazy. We found our guy.
We found our fucking guy.
But you mentioned that, and it's. I mean, you're right. Like, the balls in this guy, right? We all see Major League, right? Marbles. You got no marbles. Baker came in like with a freaking, he, on a freaking, I don't know, man, a damn.
Those things that hang off the back of the Dodge Ram trucks?
Yes.
Certain parts of Nokomis say.
Yes.
Yeah. They were that big.
It just stepped in and said, yeah, cool. Tom was here. Now I'm here. No big deal. Let's go. It was like, what? Anybody else would have shrunk, not anybody else, but many other men would have shrunk in that moment or overthought it or been nervous. Speaking of having balls, we heard a story about you on the golf course, though.
Yeah, we did.
Boy.
I want, Jason's like, I have this guy, he's talented. He's fucking, God, I really like this guy.
This is a young John Spytek we're talking about.
Young John
Spytek.
Oh,
boy.
Yeah.
We're back to Ramblewood, New Jersey right now. That's where you're taking me. Yeah.
So he's like, I go to my boss and I'm like, hey, we gotta hire this guy. Okay, so play golfing with John, get about to like hole 5, hole 6, and I offer him a job. Say, Justin, be assistant scout. Fucking guy turns around and tells me no. I'm like, bro, it's a job with an NFL team. And you're like, no, I'm better than that. The balls, John. Talk us through that, man. I mean,
John,
believing in yourself, man, that's some good shit.
At what age did you know you had balls of steel? Like, that's what I want to know.
When did you know you were related to Baker? Or Baker got that from you? Baker got it from you. You're older than Baker.
Yeah, I'm many years. See all that gray right there? I'm many years Baker senior. Yeah, listen, I sometimes not having a good plan B or knowing what a stupid decision you're making can benefit you. You know, I remember him asking me, like, what are you going to do if you don't take this? And I was like, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. And I really didn't know. And
so awesome.
I was 27. I was getting married. I was making no money. And, you know, I felt like I was good. They kind of made the mistake of telling me like I was good. You know, your reports are really good. I was hanging out with them. I was hanging out with our old boss, our GM, Tom Heckert, who had passed away. Like, I was tight with them. I knew what they thought of me. And it wasn't very calculated. I wish I could say it was calculated. Like I was a negotiating savant like Greenberg, but it was one of those things where I believed in myself and where I wanted to go. And I told my wife, my girlfriend at the time, my wife said, hell, babe, give them hell. What were they going to, you know? And luckily, yeah. Luckily he went back to Tom, and Tom, I remember Jason told me that Tom said, yeah, I kind of like it. Like Tom kind of had this high voice like that. And they made me a pro college scout the next year instead of being a scouting assistant for the second year in a row. And away I went. And it was a great experience.
That's the most dangerous thing.
Yeah, it was like a seminal moment in my career, but you know, it could have gone poorly, and I would not be sitting here with you guys if it went poorly.
Listen, I highly doubt that because that fuck it type of attitude, usually you get places. If it wasn't there, you would have done it elsewhere. And remember, they told you you're good. That's a dangerous thing to tell people like us. I'm lumping myself in here with this. Yeah, if I know I'm good,
you could have still been here with us, but you could have been like me. I did the same thing. I told my boss one time, you know, I don't accept it. I'm better than this. And I got fired. So it doesn't always work out. Sometimes you think you're better than you are.
Yeah.
You know?
I woke up feeling dangerous that day. Yeah. And it worked out for me.
I love it.
Hey, true story. I left a job after 10 years that had been promising me profit sharing this, profit sharing that, your voice matters, yada, yada, with no plan B. All right. No like decent health insurance because my wife is pregnant, going through savings, just got a pay cut with this company I was with. And I was like, listen, dude, if you're not going to give me what I'm getting, what I'm supposed to be getting, what you guys have been telling me, I'm out of here. And I had no plan. I didn't even tell my wife. I was like, I'm out of here. I had no idea. And he said, okay. I was like, oh shit. Okay. I guess I'm gone. So I get it, man. Listen, you bet on yourself. You win though. If you're a dog, that's how I look at it.
Yeah. Well, it worked out. And you know, again, I've since become a little older and wiser and read on people that have done the same thing that was maybe a little more calculated. It's like, oh shit, I did the right thing. I mean, I think Jerry Seinfeld had a quote, and I'm a big Seinfeld fan. And they asked him like, what was plan B? He was like, there was no plan B. It was always this. It had to be this. And, you know, I think subconsciously that was what I was doing in that moment too. You know, I was ready for more, and there is no plan B, and I'm okay with that. And, you know, if you're not going to take care of me, then somebody else will. And like, I didn't really have a lot of other connections at that point, but you know, we would have figured it out somehow.
I'm curious, what's life like for a scout? You know, you get that job, right? You play your hand, you get the promotion. Now you're a scout for the first time. Like, what is that?
A day in the life of a scout.
Yeah. How much time are you away? You know, how much time are you on the road? Like, what is it like being a scout?
It's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. You know, it's a hard job. It's not the sexy job it's not sexy as hell like people think it is. You know, if you're talking about a college scout, for instance, right? Let's put them in October in Athens, Georgia. Okay. So you wake up on a Wednesday in Athens, Georgia, probably about 6:30 in the morning at a Fairfield Inn or, you know, something similar to that. And you plan your whole day out. You wake up, you probably try to figure out, all right, who's here today? Who can I talk to from the coaching staff, the support staff? Then you get out your notebook if you didn't do it the night before, because you probably wrote reports till about 2 a.m. And you start writing down the names of the players in your notebook or looking them up on your iPad. And you realize, shit, I'm at Georgia. I probably got 17 guys to look at today between offense, defense, and special teams. And oh shit, some of them are backups because, you know, backups at Georgia can play in the NFL. It's just a fact. You go to these big schools and, you know, they got 2 first-round picks standing in front of them. Well, the backup might be a 3rd or 4th round pick, so I better know him too. So you go into the school, you watch tape until they kick you out of a meeting room, or they take you to the strength coach or the trainer or the academic people. You try to interview as many of those people as you can. Again, you're doing 17 people. You try to go back, you try to watch more tape. you try to get the special team tape on, then you flip over to the defense, trying to watch 2 or 3 games of those guys. Then usually you get kicked out of the meeting room again about 2:30. You got about 2 hours, hour and a half till practice starts around 4. You walk out the practice field 4:30. You're out of there about 5 after you see the guys you want to see. And then you look up and you go, okay, I got to drive an hour and a half to Atlanta to go to Georgia Tech. But shit, I'm in Atlanta rush hour traffic, so it takes 3 hours. So I roll into my hotel at 8:30 or 9. I got to get dinner. And now I have 17 reports to write on these guys, because if I don't, guess what happens tomorrow? I'm at Georgia Tech and I got 10 reports. Now I got 27 reports I didn't do. And that's how you fail as a college scout really quick in the middle of October. It's just the work piles up on you. And that's really starting in September all the way through Thanksgiving. Like, that's what they do. And yeah, weekends you want to go home. Like, well, not if you got to go see quarterbacks. You got to go to a game. And, our guys, I say it every year after the press conference. Listen, we all signed up for this. This isn't for everybody. But they sacrifice a lot to do this job that they love, and their families sacrifice a lot. And it's to be acknowledged that it isn't all, roses and a lot of fun. I mean, and the hard thing, I think, when you're a college scout, and which you have the hardest time with, is you're away from the team. So you don't really feel, I remember when I was a college scout in Philly, after I got that promotion I begged for, and they sent me to Ruston, Louisiana. And I'm sitting there in a Fairfield Inn in Ruston, Louisiana, watching the Eagles play, the Cowboys. And you're like, I might as well be any Eagles fan right now. I mean, you're not around it. And if you don't really stay engaged and work relationships, you can kind of become like a freelancer, is what it will feel like. And, it's hard, because so much of the stuff that we all get excited about, you guys are at the games on Sundays. I mean, we all are there, the energy, the excitement, the pride in a city when you're playing well. Like, it is like a drug to me, when you're between here and, in Denver, we won the Super Bowl. Like, you miss that as a college scout, and it's hard. It really is hard. But, there's a passion and a joy and a love for the sport and for the team that is tangible for those guys, and a humility that is second to none, because they don't get seen, they don't get heard. It's not all about them. And they're doing it for a lot of times 2-3 days a year, right? I mean, 3 days a year to pick 7 guys, and knowing like, I'm going to write 300 or 400 reports this year. We may not pick a guy from area. Like, that sucks. That sucks.
Is there a guy
incredible,
that you scouted, John, that kind of is some guy, a success story, one that you're really proud of? Yeah, one that you really kind of hang your hat on and say, hey, man, back in 99, I found X. Like, is there that guy or guys?
The one that I probably take the most pride in was from our first draft in Cleveland. So I worked the 2009 season, was my last season with Philly. And right after we lost to the Cowboys at the playoffs that year, I left and went to Cleveland. And a year before that, I was watching Patrick Chung play for Oregon, who became a great player for the Patriots. And the whole time I was watching Patrick Chung, I could not take my eyes off of the other safety, who was just killing people. He wore number 2, and he was a special foot athlete. And as a 6'4", so what'd you say to me before? 7 foot, 200 and whatever. I was a 6'4", 245-pound man. When you play football, you learn, like, there are people that move and hit people different than others. And I learned at a young age that I just couldn't hit people I saw Marlon Jackson saw Jason Avant in half one time at a Michigan practice. And Marlon Jackson was a freshman, and he was like 185 pounds. I was like, how the hell does he hit people like that? And you just learn that some people have it in their bodies. It just is what they're made to do. And so I looked up who this player was. It was TJ Ward. Mm-hmm. And TJ Ward was a junior that year. And I remember he was killing Toby Gerhart, the old running back from Stanford. And he got a penalty. He was like standing over him, like, stuffed him in the hole like this. And I couldn't get enough of him. And he ended up going back to school that year when Patrick Chung came out. And so I earmarked him. I'm like, next year, I'm going to be all over this guy. And so we end up going to Cleveland. And our first draft in Cleveland, we took Joe Hayden at 7 overall. And then we came back and we took TJ at like 30 something. and we got killed for it. We did, because Taylor Mays was still on the board and a couple other safeties. And, my bosses, they were all on board too. Well, TJ ended up being a two-time, he was a first team all rookie defensive player and a first team all rookie special teams player too, because he led our team in special teams tackles. And we ended up getting him later in Denver. He was a big part of our Super Bowl winning team there, and just the way he competed and played. And, he was a walk-on at Georgia or at Oregon, and earned a scholarship, and he earned it all. And so that's the one that I look at the most, because I was a young scout and I was still kind of learning through it. And I was watching a really good player, Patrick Chung, and I just fell in love with this other guy that I wasn't even supposed to be looking at.
Hey, he's a Bucs legend, by the way.
Oh. Yeah,
TJ
did play for the Bucs, correct?
He did. He was better. It was way better in Cleveland and Denver. But I got a lot of respect for TJ and the way he competed and played through all the years.
We got our own TJ Ward with Whitehead, who makes his return this year. A guy that you obviously had a hand in bringing to this team. I'm sure you're happy to see him back.
So happy. Just, Jason's talked about it. It killed us when he left. And, I remember when I first was getting started here, and Greenberg was talking about, well, who are we going to pay? And we don't have anybody to pay. And I was like, we're going to change it, Greeny. It's going to,
we don't have anybody to pay.
You're going to miss the days where you said, like, yeah, you're gonna miss this. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, but edit that part out.
No,
but He wasn't
wrong. He wasn't wrong.
No, he wasn't wrong. That's the thing. He was right.
You're gonna have a lot more stress. I remember telling you, you're gonna have a lot more stress in your life when we start drafting really good players and we got to resign them. And eventually, it's going to get to the point where we're gonna have to let some of them go, and it's gonna suck. And one of the other people at the same time, Ron McCartney, was just desperate to get a compensatory pick. We just weren't getting compensatory picks because nobody was paying any of our free agents any money where we would get, there was enough value in those contracts to get a comp pick. And, unfortunately for us, like, Jordan was one of the casualties, and one of his classmates, Alex Cappa, was another one. We just ran out of money, and they got the contracts they deserved. And we had to tell them, we just can't get there. And they both wanted to come back. And, at some point you can't just turn down $3 or $4 million a year because you want to stay somewhere. Yeah. And, but my love of Jordan and my respect for his game never wavered. I watched him every year, just like I watch Alex every year too. And, I think we all realized pretty quickly what we lost with Jordan. It was more than just the football player. It was the competitor. It was the rugged toughness. He's a unique kid where he comes from Aliquippa, and Aliquippa is a tough town, but he's got a kindness to him and a smile to him that lights up a room. And then he puts on the helmet, and he's a stone cold killer. And those are the guys that win you Super Bowls. And so to get him back you guys saw the video with how excited Coach Rapone was. We were all super excited to get
John,
him back.
It was a physical difference on the field. That first game without him, we all felt it. We all said it. We all thought the exact same thing. We're like, we're missing Jordan. Not even just like obviously you miss him from a playmaker standpoint, but you could just feel you missed his presence on the field. Like his toughness, just like the Draymond Greens of the NBA, like they get the guys around him to play differently. And that just felt like that when he was gone. And easily the top free agent, like from an outsider coming in type of scenario for this team.
Quick Jordan Whitehead story. I mean, we talked about the Scotty Miller play in Green Bay, but we didn't talk about Jordan Whitehead.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, smashing Aaron Jones. Yep. First possession of the second half and pushing that lead to 28-10, I think it was. And then like 3 plays later, he dislocates his shoulder, and can't finish the game. And some guys in that moment, if they want to make it about them, they're sad, they're up in their feelings that they didn't finish the game. I mean, the biggest smile on his face on the field in the locker room after the game, I assumed because it was covered up by a mask, we couldn't see it. And, I remember asking him in the locker room, like, you can be okay. And big smile. Don't worry about me. I'll play the Super Bowl. Don't worry about me. And it's like, shit, man, you just dislocated your shoulder. I feel like it's okay to be worried about you. And, but like when the kid and what he's about, what he's made of, I mean, he's one of those kids like you literally would have to kill him to have him miss a Super Bowl. Like he just not in his DNA to not play if he can play, and to miss a Super Bowl, like next level.
What I was going to say was that everybody talks about Winfield, and I'm not taking anything away from that because fuck the Saints, and that was amazing. That fumble he caused, like literally changed that game. But Jordan Whitehead destroying Aaron Jones was such a tone-setting, game-changing play in the NFC Championship. It was nuts. It's just huge. So glad to have him back. I know Todd's happy. I mean, the first thing I said when it happened, first it was joy, and the second I was like, our run defense is about to be fucking elite again. It's gonna be crazy. I'm super
really
excited.
All the secondary players you drafted, Sean Murphy Bunting, and like we don't get to where we were in the playoffs without him, and then Jordan, and then Antoine, like that. Those guys helped carry us to the Super Bowl, and ultimately, and Carlton and they, So, anyways, sorry.
Mike Edwards, Carl. They're all on their rookie contracts. Every single one of them was on their rookie contract when we won the Super Bowl. Yep. Carlton was in his third year. The rest of those guys were in their second years, and Winfield was in his first year. Yep.
So you guys have talked about the Levante David template. We asked Jason about it last time he was on the show here with us. Yeah. And it looks like you guys are following the template. This year's group of guys that you guys brought in the draft. Tyke reminds me a lot of a Jordan Whitehead / Rondé Barber type of guy. So you guys are just kind of continuing this build. If I had to make you choose one of these guys, because again, I know your hand is more so on the side of the scouting and understanding that kind of, you're not in that room with, Greenberg and his giant calculator, obviously, as often as you are with
I'd like to tell him it's not his money, just do the deal. But easy for me to say.
Sammer said giant. Real quick, Sammer, how big is that calculator?
Yeah,
is it this big? Is it keyboard size? Because it's a big fucking calculator, man.
Is it the old school ones with the deal and the printing receipt constantly?
Oh, it's one of those. Okay, when you tax
is it the standard Looney Tunes calculator?
He actually has a smart board that's probably bigger than him, and he could just put it all up there. It's pretty impressive. I don't even know where to look.
He's playing Iron Man. He's just moving this over here.
He's doing shit I don't even know about, and I don't even know where to look at it. But he knows, and he's great at it.
If I had to make you choose one of these guys you guys just drafted, having scouted them, gone through their tape, and understood what they're about, obviously you got to see them all, in rookie camp as well. If I had to make you choose one of them that you're most excited about for 2024. Who would you pick?
I won't say the first round pick, but that's a cop out. That's too easy.
That's cop out. Yeah,
that's fair.
I have one, but you can go ahead. Go ahead, Spike.
They all have a lot to prove. I'll lead with that. And I'm not. Several of them have a chance to push for series playing time and start, but they got to earn it. They got to compete. That's what we're all about. Nobody cares where you were picked, but I'm excited for Chris Braswell and. Edge rusher, he's made of the right stuff. He led the SEC in pressures last year. I think if he doesn't play behind Will Anderson and Dallas Turner, a lot more people know a lot more about Chris Braswell. I think the scouting world was pretty keen on him. I think we got him right about as late as you could get him. But he's a kid that doesn't say much. He just goes about his business. He's heavy-handed. People in our building can't stop talking about what heavy hands he has. And he's a kid that just is going to run down your midline when it's hard, and he's going to make you earn it. And those are the best guys to me. He just kept showing up in the fourth quarter of Alabama games at big moments. And that's hopefully where we're at. We're hopefully playing in, the Superdome in big moments and, in Kansas City in big moments, and you can rely on those players that have done it before. You should count on them to do it again. And, getting him in there with that group with Yaya and Joe and Nelly. And, we still have pretty good hopes for Marquise Watts. Did some cool stuff last year, and Manny Ramirez. I'm dating myself right now. Jose Ramirez. Those guys don't even know who that is probably. Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the guys that are young players. They have no idea. Yeah. But anyway, I'm excited for Chris. I'm excited for pretty much every rookie, but I'm a pass rush. I'm a defensive guy, and I love pass rushers, and I'm a little biased, but hopefully we got two good ones for years to come with Yaya.
Is he that guy you just described? You know, your scouts are at Georgia. They got 17 players to scout, and even the backups are NFL starters at some point. Mm-hmm. He comes along later in his career and gets to, you know, prove that he's worthy.
For sure. And like that process doesn't just start the year that they're draft eligible. It starts usually when they're freshmen, sophomores, and the good players, even if they only play 10, 15 snaps a game, they should get your attention after several games. And so we knew a lot about Chris. Our scouts did a great job. We hit the ground running with Chris, even though he hadn't been a starter. And you know, a lot of people would say he didn't start this year. I guess we can acknowledge that and still acknowledge he played 70% of the snaps, which is pretty much a starter. So, yeah, I mean, our whole process starts with our scouts getting the right people in front of us early enough in the process that we can do our due diligence to feel good about, you know, I mean, 6th or 7th round picks you can find about any time, but the 1st and 2nd round pick, you want to have done your homework on them for months. And, you know, a big tip of the hat to our guys that run through Alabama every year and big players like Chris out.
John, it seems like you guys kind of follow a secondary template when it comes to the guys in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round. Chris, Tyke, J-Mac, guys that weren't necessarily given a role. They had to kind of carve out a role. They had to play behind guys who are better than them, even though if one of those guys isn't there, they're probably the star and the starter. Is that kind of a thing for you guys, finding dudes that aren't given it or given a role and just have to kind of earn their way and have to understand how to be a team player when they're playing with, again, you're bringing in a guy who's going to now be a wide receiver in a room with Trey, Chris, and Mike, who are like, you can't be the star, but he understands how that is and how that works and what to do and how to fit in. Is that kind of something that you guys look at specifically with some of these later round players where they're, you know, able to kind of fill in and be a really good culture piece?
I mean, we do a lot of things. Our reports on people are, you know, they're extensive, and it's certainly one of the things we talk about. And, you know, a lot of times these guys have never been backups. And so you're just guessing if they don't start, what they're going to act like, how they're going to get through that. And they might not be a bad kid. They might just be like, I don't know what this is like to not be out there the first play of the game and play 80% of the snaps. And as we've refined our process through the years, we've paid attention to certain things here and there, and, you know, not necessarily like drafted off of them, but given them their due in a sense, right? Like it could become a positive, not necessarily a negative, that he didn't do this, or this, or he didn't have this many starts. I mean, I'd love for all of our guys to start 50 games. You wouldn't be guessing very much if that was the case. But, you know, I think when you get good at this, you know, you have an instinct to be like, this is the right kind of kid. And, you know, this is the kind of the situation around him as to why maybe he didn't play as much or get as much run as he should have. And we can become okay with that. We can become comfortable with it. And so, you know, when Jason has to go tell the owners, like, this is why we're drafting Washington's 3rd receiver in the 3rd round, don't think that this is like a backup level player. Like, this is a really talented kid. And, you know, again, as our process is built from the beginning, you give all the credit to the scouts who build that all up, because it makes it really easy to tell the people that need to know why this is the why of his career. This is why he was not a 15, or this is why he wasn't a 40 game starter. It's why he's a 15 game starter.
John, settle a debate for me. Pre-draft, we talked a lot about, you know, because we're experts too. I don't know if you knew that. We talked about players that we liked. And I'm sure you watched the show and our opinions mattered to you, but I have a question. How important is a RAS score? Okay. It's Sammer's favorite thing to say. He brought it up every single episode.
It's important.
Shut the fuck up about it, honestly.
It's important to the Bucs.
No, okay, no. We're gonna ask John Spytek.
He's not gonna spill the tea.
No. You're gonna see this. He's gonna answer the question. Right? Is it RAS score and then tape, or is it tape and then RAS score?
It's always tape. Always.
That's not even what I said.
The way you framed that question.
No, yeah. I'm right.
Completely not.
You're wrong.
No.
I said
what Sammer said was they've never drafted a player under a certain threshold of RAS. So
I'm sure that's that. Is that true, John?
Not that it
matters in the first round. Yeah, because that RAS score more often than not tells you what they aren't going to be as opposed to what they will be, but it matters. They don't ignore that shit. Come on. And plus,
I didn't say they ignored it.
It's literally.
I didn't say they ignored it.
Look it up. It's history.
Icing. It's icing on the cake, man. After the tape.
Explain, John. Let John.
John, give me the RAS scores of the last 25 guys you drafted. Go.
Graham Barton was really good on tape, and he did a lot of cool things on tape, and he wore defenders out on tape, and that's what got the ball started. And then we look at a lot of things after that once we know they can play.
See, RAS score matters. Told you. RAS score matters. Yeah.
And
that answer is all you need to hear.
And if we will use whatever information we need to really make ourselves feel good about it too, even if we don't really use it as part of the process, but
even the Wonderlic test.
Even the Wonderlic test.
Even the Wonderlic test, man. Hey, you mentioned
I don't know about the Wonderlic test. I mean,
if you need to, you can use the Wonderlic test as a great reason to be like, look, he's really smart. And if you don't have a high Wonderlic, you could be like, look, he plays a position where it doesn't really matter. You'd rather have a guy that doesn't have a high Wonderlic test.
Just form it the way you want.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Frank Gore. Didn't he have like one of the worst Wonderlicks ever? Frank Gore?
He did not have a high Wonderlic test, and he's the third all-time leading rusher in the history of the NFL. So turns out you don't need to take a 50-question test in 12 minutes to say if you're going to be a good football player or not. But
after
it tells you some things too. So.
Well, you were talking about 17 reports. I don't know if you noticed, Stank's eyes were about to fall out of his skull. He hasn't done, I think, more than 2 book reports in his entire life, let alone an actual grown-up adult report.
I don't do reports.
He can't even form full sentences.
No.
You mentioned McMillan, and Sammer asked you what you were most excited about. I'm most excited about Tyke, but McMillan is one of those guys. And you're right, like you said, when Jason has to go to the owner and be like, "Hey, this is not like your typical third string." Like he was leading that team in receiving the year before, I believe, over Rome and over Polk. Like he's a fucking baller. He's a bona fide player. So I'm excited as hell to see him as well. But what I want to know, and Jason mentioned this. You talked about, scouts getting up early, going to, talking to the coaches and the positional coaches. But, Jason mentioned talking to the janitor, talking to the guy that cuts the grass, the grounds. Yep. But he mentioned donuts. You bring some donuts and coffee. We never asked them, what kind of donuts, man? You guys going to Dunkin'? You going to Krispy Kreme? Like, what's the donut options here? This is important shit.
I've been everywhere from a Dunkin' to Krispy Kreme to local shops to a place in Berkeley, California, where it was like $7 a donut. And I remember spending $50 on a dozen thinking like, oh, they're going to write me up. Like I'm going to end up paying for all this. It's Berkeley, but you better show up with the donuts or people are going to have a problem with you and they're not going to give you the information you need. So
John, do you guys have donut scouts? Do you guys have guys that go out there and scout the potential donut locations that you're going to hit for the guys that you're going to bring the donuts to?
No. The great line for any area scout is you better be an expert in your area of all things. And that includes the best donut shops. So, and
I'll write a report on. I'll do that.
I had a boss tell me one time too, the great scouts will find anything from players to restaurants to donuts to the best hotels. And I think it's really true. I take a lot of pride when we go on road trips and Jason tasks me with finding good restaurants. And
I was about to say,
I do a pretty good job of it. Every once in a while I catch some bullets, and it's the great line, I'll lie here and bleed a while, but I'll rise to fight again, my men. And usually this was usually before everybody had YouTube TV and you couldn't watch games on your phone. And a couple times we went to a great restaurant, didn't have a TV, and I thought I was gone. We weren't winning enough games. We were winning enough games to ignore the fact that there wasn't a college football games on at the restaurant that we were at. And I took some arrows for that, but I lived to fight on.
So throughout all the guests that we've had over the years on the show, I've been compiling a list of guests that we would take in an RV upon their, everyone's retirement. And we would travel the country, right? And so right now you're at the front of the line in terms of
he has to be.
Yeah,
he's high up there.
You'd be a great
country, bro.
Great co-pilot, exactly. Like we're eating, we're in said town. John's like,
John, what
he's got a little black book. He's got a little black book of lunch. Yeah. Where he knows it all.
Whoa! Did you say black book of lunch? So he could just roll the Rolodex, man, like old school.
Yeah, he's got a Rolodex of donuts. He's got a donut.
I got him on my phone.
He's got a donut.
On my phone.
Okay, so the question is, we're going to KC. We're going to be hanging out in KC.
Kansas City.
You know how we get down because you joined us last year in Green Bay. We want to know, what does your black book say about barbecue and where should we go?
No, those Gates, because
Don't
Gates
say
is
Gates.
we want
We
to
are doing
the
it. Everybody
wall,
knows Gates.
bars on the windows.
Do you
Looks
have a spot?
sketchy as hell, but it's good, man.
I want to eat barbecue where the janitors are eating it. All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I got that spot. I cannot remember the name off the top of my head, but I have it.
All
Got
right.
it.
It is a gas station.
Oh,
Okay.
And it is,
That's
and there's
what
a
I
li-
wanted.
and there's a line out the door.
Okay.
That's the
yeah.
best.
That's what I wanted.
we're gonna
All right,
get
so
the info.
We'll get that
Give all the way to
information.
November.
You gotta
I'm glad
text
you're
me
not
that.
giving it out on the show, honestly, because
Yeah.
No,
we
because
share with it.
everybody would be there.
You don't want
Well,
people
everyone's going to be there anyway because there's a line out the door of this gas station. But I got you.
Okay.
Well,
We need
listen,
extra.
Yeah, you
We're-
see what
I'm
John
gonna-
did there?
I'm
Sam,
going
you see
to
what John
call
did there?
ahead and be like, hey, John
Bro.
Spytek told me about this joint, and you're going to be there too. So we're just going to naturally be at the front of the
Yeah.
line.
Hey, John, I don't know if you know this, but Sammer knows guys at gas stations. He can get us the hookup, the VIP list. Like
I may
he's
or may
got
not know.
He's got a black book.
I may or may not know gas station guys. Yeah.
I'm not touching that.
No, hell no.
I'm just saying. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I'm telling the truth.
Gas stations run in
Oh.
my family.
Did you see? Did you see what John did there, though, bro?
What?
I mean, even though his whole life was scouting, collecting information,
Yep.
and then giving it to the powers that be. We're the powers that be. He wasn't just going to tell you guys. You think he was going to tell you
No.
guys?
No.
We're going to Kansas City. When the show's gone and when the recording stops, then he's be like, guys, I knew the name the whole time. It's not going to say it on the show.
Right.
That's a pro move.
We haven't bribed him enough. You can tell from what he said, like part of the scout's job is to bribe the people who are in the know to get the information that they want.
I don't think
Donuts.
that's the word they would use.
That's not the
No,
word.
okay. I don't know.
No.
Grease the wheels a little bit.
No.
It's a relationship business.
There we
Yeah.
go.
And some-
It's a
and
people business.
sometimes donuts help.
Yeah.
That's it.
Donuts. All right.
Officially,
You
this-
may have to buy like a smoothie for somebody too, if that's what it takes. But in the football world, donuts usually play.
Yeah, he said you smoothie. That's interesting. I had a customer that missed her appointment this week. And she gets like a fade or whatever, not a regular. I don't do women's hair like that. But she's like, hey, I missed my appointment. I'm so sorry. But listen, do you want Smoothie King? I'm here. And I'm like, what? Like, yeah, I'll bring you a smoothie. I'm like, all right. She got a fucking haircut, man. She missed her appointment, and I squeezed her in because she brought. John said it's a people business. I was like, how can I not squeeze her in? Now?
She bought her back. She bought her way
brought
back in.
me a $9 Smoothie King smoothie. What am I supposed to say? No. All right, come on.
Yeah.
I got you.
This is a great idea, man. When I have my barber come to my house, I'm gonna start having a box of donuts out. Maybe slash a couple bucks off the final price or something, right?
Great.
That's not a bad
Better
idea.
because it's a cost to you. So,
I like that.
but it's a cost of doing business.
It is.
So you're definitely going to be our donut aficionado once you retire, from the world of football. We're going to have you on the show here. You're going to be our donut recommending guy all the time.
I don't think he's retiring anytime soon.
I got
Yeah.
the best. No, I'm not. I got the best one in of all places, Ann Arbor, and he will get after your ass like the soup Nazi in the Seinfeld episode if you're not ready to order. And I've taken a couple scouts in there, and just step back, and they kind of look at the menu and he's like, are we fucking ordering or not? Let's go. And they about fall over and they turn around and look at me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
It's like Philly with the Philly cheese places where you're not ready to order. Like, what the fuck? Order, man. Come on.
no, they push you in the street in Philly and run you over.
Yeah. That too.
Okay, so we need two things from you after the show. We need this gas station, and then we need this donut shop in Michigan. Because
I got you.
Yeah, for sure.
It's in Ann Arbor, so it's going to be a hike from Detroit if you go, but it's a great spot.
We're not going to Detroit. We will go just for the donuts at this point.
Sammer, you know what we need, Sammer? I mean, we made him with Rashad. We're gonna make him with Jason. We gotta make some food and break bread with John.
Donuts.
That's-
Let's make
Donuts. It's a
donuts.
donut episode, obviously.
Let's make
John needs
donuts.
to come. We need to make donuts. I'll hook him up with a fresh fade. We'll make it happen. Like, this has to happen, John.
I'm not a huge donut guy, but I'll break donut bread with you guys.
Okay, but are you a big chicken wing guy?
Yeah, because we're getting to the important question. I don't know if we have any more questions, but I'm starting
We
to
don't.
sweat profusely now.
The
because
last question of the show. We've thrown a lot at him.
This is the most important question of the show. I'm
Hammer.
nervous.
Wait. Before you go there, though, in all honesty, we know nothing about making donuts, so we're not going to do a donut making show with you, John. But I think you're going to have to tell us
help.
where the greatest donut shop is in Tampa. Then we're going to go and film that donut shop experience with you. All right,
Okay.
and we're going to break donut bread. That's how it's going to work.
All right, I'm done. I like that.
That's what we're gonna do.
I haven't had many. Wherever the rookies bring donuts from on Saturdays, that's the best donut place. And I think it's up towards Carrollwood somewhere. I'll
You
get
need
the
to
name from somebody.
Get one of your scouts on it, yeah, like pronto.
No, I'll find it. No, I don't do all the road stuff like I used to do. So I take pride in finding things like this.
Yeah.
And Google Maps is a great tool for that.
Yeah.
You
Definitely.
could have been.
You're a steak guy, John? You steak guy? You like steak? You
Yep.
like steak?
Love steak.
Ribeye or strip?
Oh, you guys are gonna kill me with filet.
Filet. There's no
I love
flavor, John.
I know. I tell you.
There's nothing wrong with that. Why
Sorry.
would
What's wrong with filet? What's wrong with
There's
filet?
nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it.
I think I offended you. I'm sorry.
No,
you didn't offend me.
I love nothing wrong with filet.
I'm not offended. I like filet. I prefer,
John,
okay.
because you could find anything, do you appreciate the job that the people do on Cheaters, the show?
I don't got time for cheaters, man. I try to watch a little bit of golf in between my football. That's
I've read
all I'm allowed for.
that those are guys who failed at scouting the NFL, and so they take their skills elsewhere, and that's what they've been able to put their skills to use.
Those are the guys
can find anything.
who get offered the job and they overplay their hand and they get fired. And unlike John,
Maybe I was closer to cheaters as a cheaters host than I thought.
Yeah, you were that close.
You're a cheater scout. Cheater scout.
I forgot to tell you, my two co-hosts here, my brothers, they don't like golf, so they're losers. I've been playing golf now 8 months, and I just
congratulations.
I just broke 90. I just shot 94, bro. I broke under 100 for the first time.
Well, you're a natural. You're a natural. Talk to me in a year. You're going to be shooting the 70s. And they're going to wish they joined with you.
Latte,
I try.
I don't hate golf.
Golf doesn't like me.
It's just my stunt double isn't as good as he should be at golf yet, and so once he is, then you guys will get to see me golf.
You guys enjoy throwing a party on a golf course, though. I know that.
We do enjoy.
That's all we know. That's all we know of golf courses.
You said a term earlier. You look for fast-footed athletes. That's me on the golf course, barefoot in the grass on the golf course. That's where I shine. Honestly.
Hey, this is my last one, and we're done. But he's talking about barefoot athlete, which has nothing to do with him. Complete oxymoron as it relates to him.
That's why half the guys he's drafted are all barefoot on the field.
But you're not an athlete. You're missing the point.
You're not an athlete. Shut your face.
Agree to
the highlight of my Buccaneer life, besides the Super Bowls, besides getting to meet all the players and do all the cool shit we've done, was watching Stank's soul leave his body when Rondé told him, when Rondé
Barber,
legend Barber, said, "Hey man, throw me this football," and he went to throw it because he was barefoot, John. He slipped at the edge of the water and fell in the fucking lake at the golf course.
At the golf course.
Hey, the look of disappointment on Rondé's face was like,
no. Rondé came up to me and said, "That was fucking embarrassing." Rondé told me, like, one of my heroes was so disappointed in me, and I don't think I'll ever forget.
That's why Rondé sent me a Rondé Barber New Era cap after his Hall of Fame.
I never got one. I didn't get one.
And not you.
I didn't get one.
Stank, that's rough, man.
Yeah, so and there's video.
How do you reel that back in when you get a second chance?
You don't. You own it. That's what you do. Like all the players you draft, when they make mistakes, their character, they have high character, and they just own it. That's what I do. That's what I was taught to do, and so I just own the mistake, man. I'm not as fleet of foot as I used to be, and but
you never were.
No, I back in my day. All right.
Do you remember the text message you sent us last week, and I had to make a sign and adjust a sign because of you?
No, leave it alone.
I'm not going to do it in front of John. I'm going to respect John, though.
Ask the most important question.
All right, John.
Ask him the question.
We've asked you
in the show
some softball nonsense at this point, okay? But the most important question for our new guests always.
Here comes the high heat.
And this is a big deal. I like you.
You scouted us. You're going to know what the question is.
You're a cool dude. No. I think you're a football guy. I consider you a friend. But if this doesn't go properly from this point forward, you're probably never coming back on the show again. Just an FYI. And you're probably going to disappoint Jason. Okay?
Lay it out there.
Everybody knows chicken wings are the greatest football food of all time. Everybody agrees with that? Yeah. Untouchable. Okay? Are you going dry rub when you're eating those wings? This is a two-part question, by the way. Are you going dry rub, or are you going dripping down the arms to the elbows, got to use the entire roll of napkins, saucy wet?
Yeah, give me the sauce.
Any sauce, up to you.
He's going with the sauce. He's going with the sauce. He nailed the first question.
Don't light my world on fire where I can't breathe and I might throw up. But give me the sauce. Any sauce. I'm game.
Okay. Nailed it. Listen, that was underhand.
Yeah, that was
the more important question of the two.
This is a big one. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Everybody, take a deep breath. Collective deep breath right here. All right.
I like John. I really like John.
I know. I really want you to come back, John. I don't want to delete you out of my phone, honestly. So,
are you dipping them, John? Are you dipping them in blue cheese or ranch?
I don't dip them in either.
He's BA. He's a purist. That's okay.
Yeah.
I like that. That's acceptable.
I think everybody so far on the staff, including Jason, they're non-dippers. They're wing purists.
Let the wing stand on its own. My wing doesn't need
as long as it's not ranch. That was the wrong.
No ranch.
You passed.
I'll dip the celery in blue cheese occasionally.
Blue cheese. So there you go.
There it is. There it is, boys. There it is. Oh my God. I'm replacing you in my phone on my favorites. I'm taking my wife out. You're right in there, dude. You've earned that spot.
Let's go.
You've earned a star in my contact list. I mean, that's ridiculous, man. That's unbelievable. Oh wow.
Well,
knocked it out of the park.
Well,
hey, John, before you go, would you mind telling us about your foundation?
Yes, please.
No, I appreciate you asking. So, it's a foundation my wife and I started 10 years ago now after our daughter, Evelyn, she's our firstborn daughter, was born with a congenital virus called CMV. Mm-hmm. We started the National CMV Foundation. Eventually, my wife met a bunch of other moms who had started foundations basically the same way, all grassroots, trying to just basically make a difference. It's a very common virus. There's a chance that a lot of people have it. The stat that we always tell people is by the time you're 40 years old, you have an 80% chance of contracting CMV. It wouldn't affect the five of us, or the four of us. Sorry, I was looking at myself in the calling the five.
I did the same thing. I was like, yeah, the five. Yeah.
I tell my wife, I tell my wife all the time, I got hit in the head a lot when I forget things or do stupid shit. So, but anyway, it's super damaging to a baby in utero if the mom is infected the first time, and it's really, really common. It's the most common cause of disabilities and birth defects in the country for viruses, and people don't talk about it. And so we started to do something about it. Any of your listeners that are starting to think about having a family, man or woman, I would urge you to go to our foundation, nationalcmv.com. There's some hygiene things that you can do to really reduce the risks of passing this on to your baby, like we ended up doing with Evelyn, because when babies are born with this, it's irreversible. There's no taking back of brain damage or the damage done to the body. And I know you guys know we ended up losing our daughter when she was 21 months old to a surgery that was necessary because of the virus that she had. And we're just we're do something, people, my wife and I, and we started to try to do something, and we're making progress. We've got a lot of states now that are putting it on the screening, the infant screening when the babies are born. Florida is about ready to join that, so we're super proud of that. And June actually is CMV Awareness Month too, so I'm on at the perfect time too. You can go to our website, you can learn about it. We have a Strides for CMV event, which is basically a virtual 5K. You can do it anytime you want. You can swim it, you can run it, you can walk it, you can bike it, you can army crawl it. I don't care what you do. You can raise money, you can donate through the website, but it's just a way to get people talking about our cause that's so near and dear to our hearts. And, we saw what our daughter went through for 21 months that she was with us. And, I just don't want to see any more kids go through that. So I appreciate you guys asking about it.
What is
again,
the website?
One more time it's www.nationalcmv.org. And you can learn a ton about our cause, what we're trying to accomplish. And you can learn about things that you can do to lessen your chances of contracting the virus when you're pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant. So, your baby isn't affected like our daughter was.
Well, all three of us on the show here are fathers.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I speak for all of us. We'll be donating, and we'll be sharing the website on social media, and we'll link it below. And you guys
appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I never heard of it, and so
we didn't either.
I think
they won't tell you about it, and the story my wife tells everybody is, when we started to realize on the ultrasound in 19 weeks, when you go in there and you think like they're going to tell you that this is a boy or a girl, that's what we were going to hear.
Yeah,
and they didn't tell us that. They told us like we got some really serious concerns here, and they started kind of naming the different things, and we had subsequent ultrasounds after that, and my wife basically just Googled it one time at like 30 weeks pregnant, 32 weeks pregnant, and it spit out CMV at her. And it was this host of just awful things from stillborn to, dying shortly after birth. And we were like, well, if that was what it was, surely they would tell us. And they didn't. And the doctors are not going to tell you about it. And it's, there's nothing you can do to prevent it, but there are many things you can do to drastically lessen your chances of getting it when you're pregnant or thinking of becoming pregnant. And that's what we're trying to push. I mean,
Yeah.
knowledge is power. Take control of your life. And if the doctors aren't going to do it, well, you can learn from us. We'll tell you about it.
Yeah, man, that's it. Like, you got to spread awareness. I've never heard of it. It's incredible. And so just, man, I'm feel fortunate that you're sharing that information with us. And I know there are a lot of people out there that can benefit from that information for sure, man.
No, I appreciate you guys asking. It's one of the most important things that we do. It's obviously super personal, but I love talking about my daughter and, any chance I can get. And, I would never trade not having her for the 21 months I did have her and the grief that has come from that. And, we've also done a lot of good from it too, in a space that a lot of work and good needs to be done. And, I give her all the credit for that. It's her, in her honor that we do it.
Amen to that.
Do you guys
Definitely
do an event throughout the year or anything like that?
We're working on hopefully getting a gala set up here too. We've been basically a very big grassroots. I just coined one time compete for CMV. It's kind of been our big fundraiser that we've done. It's just allowed people to run. I've run 3 marathons since she was born, trying to raise money for it. And, we've had a ton of success with that, but one day we are going to have a gala, and when we do, I'll let you guys know. And
definitely, man.
Hopefully it'll be in Tampa. No, I know. I appreciate you guys. And, it'll be a fun celebratory event, but it'll be done the right way and with a serious, important note as well too. But,
So
we like to honor our daughter with, smile and joy and the kiddos that go through it. Like, there's still a way to smile, and that's kind of what we're about.
So we can run a 5K at any moment by signing up on the website, or is this?
Yeah, if you go to nationalcmv.org, you'll see the or you follow us on Twitter or Instagram, you'll see all the Strides for CMV event that is going on right now. And we have a day that we encourage as many people to do it, but you can do it anytime in June, because June is CMV Awareness Month. And we encourage everybody to take pictures of themselves doing it. And then you can send it to you guys or to me, or there's a way to get in touch with us via social. You can direct message us on social, and we'll put together a kind of a slideshow, a reel of people doing their thing. And it's one of our biggest, if not our biggest fundraiser of the year. We also have a bunch of people that run the New York City Marathon every year as part of it too, which is our other big fundraiser. But yeah, we got big things coming, hopefully, but we're a cause that competes with a lot of other really important causes too, that affect a lot of other kids that I would never take away from. But it's, you got to get people to pay attention about it. When people don't know about it, it's hard to, everybody knows about pediatric cancer and all these other things, and they should know about it, and they should support those things. But when people don't know about it, that's our biggest thing. It's like a marketing awareness fight that we're swimming upstream against, but we're making a ton of progress. And I'm super proud of all the people that work in our space. My wife is a absolute rock star with what she's done and put together and grown the foundation from nothing to where it is right now. And it's, we're in a place that I think a lot of people never thought we would be, but we have a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Sam,
we're running a 5K, boys.
Sam, we should try and set up something.
You can run it. You can walk it. You can swim it. Nobody cares. Just take a picture of yourself doing it, and hopefully it's hot and it's hard, but you'll do it. It's only 5K.
It's mutually beneficial because as you can tell, we all three need to run.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah, we do.
We need to run a lot. But yes. Rashad is supposed to put us through some running back drills.
That's true.
So maybe we get Rashad to walk it with us or jog it with us, and we make it a thing, and I get the barbers involved. I don't know, Sam. We'll figure something out.
Rashad would finish his 5K while we're dying. What are you talking about?
I know. That's why I said Rashad can walk it and we'll run it, and he'll still finish before us.
Rashad can sit it probably most of the time as well.
Turn on your Apple Watch there to a run, and maybe you'll do a 5K while you do the running back drills, and there you go. That's the 5K.
Yeah. So
I don't know if you know this. Last time we did drills with a professional athlete, we didn't even make it through the warm-ups, and then he felt so bad that he had to cut our drills short.
John, Sammer should text him that video, because
I don't know. He respects us right now.
Hey,
John, you know who Yo Murphy is, right?
It was Yo Murphy's gym, dude. And I swear to God, we brought my friend Devin. I'm sure you've seen him on Twitter.
Yeah.
My son, and he threw up midway through the workout, and Summer did not finish because he's like, my heart.
I finished.
The whole video, he's like, my heart rate.
I had to take a massive pause. I had to take a massive pause, but I finished. I finished. I couldn't breathe. What do you want me to do? I finished, though. I finished.
Hey, wait. That was the warm-up.
I know, dude. At the end of it, he goes, guys, that was the warm-up. And I was like, dude, turn the cameras off right now.
You guys should know that these guys are built different. They're built different. They're built different than me too. I mean, I did it at a pretty high level too. I ain't built like these guys. They're built different. And what is a warm up to them is all you want and more.
What started off as funny ended up like he was truly disappointed in our effort at the end of it. I felt bad, honestly. And he's like,
I didn't wear workout tights or anything. I didn't want nothing short. I didn't touch those things for weeks because of that day. It was unreal.
The coach that he had with him looked disappointed, John.
He was really disappointed.
He looked at we he's like, we got to cut 4 modules out. They're not.
They love that shit. They love Brady. It's what they live for.
They weren't just he wasn't disappointed. You could see he was like disappointed that we even existed at that point.
He did.
He's like, why were these 4 motherfuckers born? Why?
You just wasted my time.
Breathing my oxygen. All right, take us out, Center.
Anyway.
Appreciate it, John.
We will link in the comments and in the description, obviously down below, we will link everything that John talked about, foundation, all that stuff. We might just do a 5K, the 3 of us together, and have somebody film it. It'll be like a 3-hour long video probably, but we'll pull it off, John. We'll do it.
And everybody watching, you can do the same thing. Hashtag it. We'll get it to John. Film your thing. Let's get out there, man. It's the best way to spread awareness is by talking about it, which I'm glad we did.
Yeah, me too. Appreciate you guys for that, bringing that up.
Appreciate you coming on here, John. Obviously, hope you had a good time. I thought we had a pretty decent time hanging out with you. This is awesome. We're going to get you back on here more often, and because I still got to ask you about that hat at some point. But we appreciate all you guys watching out there.
Only golfers know.
Only golfers know. Yeah, see? I'm out of yikes. All right, so hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks again, John. Go Bucs.
Bucs.
Bucs.